Rapsodie espagnole is an orchestral rhapsody written by Maurice Ravel.Composed between 1907 and 1908. The Rhapsody is one of Ravel's first major works for orchestra. It was first performed in Paris in 1908 and quickly entered the international repertoire. The piece draws on the composer's Spanish heritage, and is one of several of his works set in a reflecting Spain background. The genesis of the Rhapsody was a habanera for two pianos, which Ravel wrote in 1895. It was not published as a separate piece, and in 1907 he composed three companion pieces. A two-piano version was completed by October of that year, and the suite was fully orchestrated the following February. At about this time there was a distinctly Spanish tone to Ravel's output, perhaps reflecting his own Spanish ancestry. His opera espagnole was completed in 1907, as was the song vocalized and formed a habanera. In the interval between the composition of the original habanera and the completion of the four-movement Rhapsody, Claude Debussy had published a piano suite, Estampes, of which the middle section, Soirée dans Grenade, had a Spanish theme. To counter any accusations of plagiarism, Ravel made certain that the date 1895 was clearly printed for his habanera in the published score of the Rhapsody. The premiere of the Rhapsody was given by the orchestra.Des Concerts Cologne, conducted by Edouard Cologne, at the Théâtre du Châtelet on 15 March 1908. The critical reception was generally favorable. Dissenting voices were Pierre Lelot, who habitually disliked Ravel's music, and Gaston Carraud, who called the score slender, inconsistent and fugitive. Otherwise there was much praise for the subtle and fresh orchestration and the picturesqueness of the music. The work was soon taken up internationally. Henry Wood gave the British premiere in October 1909 to a capacity audience at the Proms, and the following month the work was first given in New York. Music, instrumentation. The work is scored for an orchestra of two piccolos, two flutes, two oboes cor anglais, two soprano clarinets, bass clarinet, three bassoons, saxophone, four horns, three trumpets, three trombones, tuba, timpani, castanets, tambourine, gong, snare drum, celesta, two harps and strings. Structure. The Rhapsody has four movements. A complete performance typically lasts around 15 minutes. 1. Prelude and Nut 4, and the key is A major. The whole movement is quiet, never rising above mezzo forte. The strings are muted throughout. As in the string quartet of 3 years earlier, Ravel places themes in the opening movement that recur in subsequent sections, most particularly the insistent opening theme, FEDC#. 2. Malaguena. This is the shortest of the four movements, and is marked as says VIF, 4 meters in common with the authentic dance. The movement is instead what the critic Noel Goodwin calls more a romantic evocation of place and mood. Like the first movement, it is in the key of A, though slightly ambiguous as to whether it is major or minor. The movement ends quietly with a repeat of the four-note phrase that opens the first movement. 3. Habanera. 4. In switching between F-sharp major and minor is marked as says lente dun rhythmi las. Goodwin describes it as beguiling and subtle in its expression of a thoroughly Spanish character and spirit. 4. Feria. 8. On C major is marked as says anime, fairly lively. It is the longest of the four movements, and is the first point in the score at which Ravel, in Nichols's phrase, allows the elan that has so far been deliberately stifled to break out. The boisterous carnival atmosphere has undertones of nostalgia, but exuberance triumphs and the work ends in a joyful burst of orchestral color.